Hello everyone, it's great to see you all for one last time before we have our summer holidays. What could be better? It's a lovely day. England are winning the cricket. What's not to like? Why doesn't everyone say hello to me in the comments? I can already see we've got Aditya there. Hi Aditya. Katie, hello, how are you? Adam, hi. Shajiv, hello. Daisy, how are you? And Gabe, how's things going? So just say hello in the comments if you haven't done so already, and we can crack on. Hi, Emily. That's good. We've got one more in. I'm looking at my second screen now where things pop up slightly earlier. So that is really good. It's good to see you all. I hope you've had a good week. Well, we're only, 2 days away. And then we've got 6 weeks rest. And make sure you get some rest over this holiday. It's been a strange enough term as it is. All right, so let's get back to today's plan, which is kind of building towards the competition. I'm going to keep you hanging around to the last possible minute for the competition, just because I know that you desperately want to know who's won it. So I'm going to make you suffer as much as I can, because I think that's part of my job. So let's have a look at the grand plan for today, which is a language fact as ever. Your brilliant photos, and you've had loads of brilliant photos this week. Again, a staggering number of really high quality photos. I've got quite a lot of quizzing this week. I've got about 17 questions in total. I've regurgitated some just to recap on some of the stuff we've done, and I put some new ones in there. So I'm sure you'll whiz through these because you are experts at this at these quiz questions. Masterpiece this week, some great pictures, and then a very short bit on technique, just to give you some ideas to keep in mind when you go out and take photos this summer. And then we'll look at the competition winners, and we'll finish off by looking at the assignment for the summer. All right, brilliant. Now, the language fact today is actually, the language part of it is kind of the least interesting thing in a sense. It's the word raw, as in you might talk about raw meat or a wound being raw. And it's from the Old English raw, which means uncooked or raw, from the German kravas, and Norse, Danish. It's from all over the place, it seems. But what's interesting is at the end of that, it also says unfinished. And you might be thinking, why are you talking about raw? What's raw got to do with photography? And it's something that actually, if you go and do computer science, you study in some detail, because it's about, if you look at the last 3 words, it says lossy versus lossless. RAW is a file format which is lossless, so it captures absolutely everything that the sensor sees. And of course, the sensor doesn't see. I shouldn't be using onomatopoeia there, but whatever the sensor captures is retained. So every single detail, and it's often considered to be like a digital negative. So everything that has been captured by your sensor is saved in the raw format. So the advantage is that if you then want to go and process the file, and you usually need to have a special plugin to process it, Photoshop comes with one, but you can use free ones off the internet. But it's worth noticing you can't do it with phones, but with anything beyond a phone you can capture either in RAW or as JPEG. So RAW is a lossless format, whereas JPEG, which is a useful format because it can be read by pretty much anything, and it's also a smaller file size, which is a bonus, but it does throw away some of the data. So for example, different shades of grey, or if something isn't quite black, it will make an approximation, and it will group colours together slightly more, and it'll chuck away. And often what it throws away is what you might not notice when looking at things on a screen. But say, for example, if you were an events photographer and you were shooting a wedding, you'd definitely shoot it in RAW, because that means that then afterwards you've got a better chance of pinning back the highlights, of bringing the shadows up. And people talk about getting stops of information back or getting stops of light back, and you get more headroom in RAW. So there we go. RAW and JPEG. It's a decision that you take, and obviously it takes up less space if you use JPEG. So there we go. That's the language fact for the week, and it's something that you will come across the more that you do photography. Is there's this file size against quality. All right, your brilliant photos. Now, Sharjeev, I'm not Sharjeev is in the house. Sharjeev, have you got a new mobile phone? Because I can see a difference in the vibrance of the images that you've taken, and you've got, this is almost a Sharjeev show. In fact, I thought after a while every photo was going to be Sharjeev, but actually you all jumped in and put something in later on. But we've got a few of Sharjeevs first of all, and this is the Samsung S10. I think the pictures that you've taken, obviously it helps to have something that can take decent pictures as well, but the pictures you've taken, Sharjeev, absolutely brilliant. Now, somebody, I think it was Rachel, had said that this was like an advert, and I couldn't agree more. This really wouldn't be out of place on an advertisement that you'd see on the TV. We won't go too much into the fact it's a bottle of cider, but anyway, I think it's a great shot, and it's a really good juxtaposition, and it works really, really well. Okay, we've got you've got two quite similar here, and you've got this one that I like, but this one that I somehow prefer. Just, I don't know, they're both good. I like the fact you've got the seagull there, and I can see, it's funny, isn't it? When you take photos and you've got two that are virtually the same, you can drive yourself mad trying to figure out which one's actually better. I think they're both good. I love the seagull being in that one, but I think that the fence being a little bit closer up just works a bit better there, and that bit of green you've got in the corner there. What a great shot, Sharjeev. Love it. This one, I like the fact that you've got down low and taken this. I think you've turned something small into something that appears to be much larger. Again, you've got the horizon in the right place. Pebbles are always a good source of inspiration, because like brick, they can be so weathered, they vary so much, the colours change, they can be pitted. There's all sorts of stuff that you can capture with pebbles, so great shot there. I love this. Again, Sharjeev, was this Brighton? I recognise that that pebbly beach. I think that's your nearest beach to Crawley, isn't it? So again, great colours in the sea, great colours in the sky, and having the people there just seems to add to it. It's a really lovely scene. Well done. Now we're off on the Sharjeev flower trip. Again, some amazing photos. There's somebody with very green fingers in your house, because there's some fabulous flowers here. I've got no idea what it is, but it looks absolutely great. And then let's go on to that. Yeah, I love the pinks and the yellows there. Really, really lovely. And then we've got Erin, who comes in with Le Colombier. I think this is a great shot. I think this is so lovely because of the colours in the sky. I think it's absolutely fabulous. What a lovely, lovely shot. And I was thinking, would I have had that much sort of area in the foreground? But actually, I think it's a really well composed image, and the fact you've got that diagonal working from left to right works really well. It's always annoying, because when the sky is beautiful, you want to capture as much sky as possible, and sometimes that kind of handcuffs you and prevents you from including other things in the composition. But I think this is a really lovely shot. Well done. What a great one. The upside down, I love the colours here. I think the outer focus kind of works quite well. I like the green. I think that generally works pretty well. I must say that I prefer this one though. I think that you've used, Erin, some filters here. Help me out with what you've done with that. It's a kind of is it an aging filter of some sort? But I think that looks great. I love the fact the cows are hiding under the trees. I love the fact that you've either used a low shutter speed, or you've used an effect to bring out those sort of lines of rain coming down. I think that is absolutely fantastic, and I just love the way that you've slightly muted those colours and gone and made it slightly bluer than it was. What a great shot. Love that. Erin in Tenerife, mountains in Tenerife, looks really good. Lovely composition. Great to see the mountains, bit of haze on the mountains, the road leading away. Yep, I love that. Really nice shot. Aditya, the sky is the limit. Who can argue with this? I think that works incredibly well. I love the vibrant blues that you've got. I love the green. Oh, whose photo was which? Have I got this one wrong? Is this you, Emily? This one here we're looking at now. The sky's the limit. Is that you? Ooh. There's always a bit of a delay here. So which one is yours, Emily? Tell me, because I hate that I got it wrong. No, Erin's one. Oh, okay. Is it this one? Is it this one that should have been yours, Emily? The Tenerife one. Was that one? I don't know. You can't get the staff, can you? Absolutely shocking. I am so sorry. I feel terrible. So that is Emily. I apologise humbly, and also I'm accusing Erin of having been to Tenerife to take these photos. It's a great shot, fabulous, and I also like the fact that you've got the haze around the mountains. I think it's a beautiful shot, really, really lovely, and your eye gets led away into the background. Please accept my humble apologies. What a stinker. All right, so we're back on The Sky's the Limit. We talked about that one, Aditya. That's a great shot. I love the colours that you have got there. Aditya, I'm kind of hoping this is yours. This is the best of both worlds. And I agree. I think that the juxtaposition of the water and the trees, I think the ripples on the water, I think the colour on the water and in the sky, I think it all works really well. And also there's not too much green because there's a lot of variety of green there. All right. Shajiv, I have no idea what this is, but I like it. And that's there's an abstract sort of flavour to this image. They could be... The beach shots were in East Wittering. Oh, okay, East Wittering. Yeah, it's nice East Wittering, isn't it? Was that recently? Very good. We've had some decent weather, haven't we? So, yeah, I love this, Shajiv. I think, do you know, it's one of those things that when you start taking photos, you start to see the abstract and you start to... Life's never quite the same again. Looks like something for a perfume advert. Yes, I agree. I think it does. It's lovely. Really good. Yeah, I like this. We had one from who did we have it from? That scary one. I'm trying to think whose it was that we had earlier on, but it reminds me of that. And I like the fact that you've gone for the shadow, the silhouette effect, the shadow effect there. I think it works really, really well. Rohan it was who did that scary shot with his spiky fingers. So that works really well. I love the clouds here. We're very lucky where we are close to the sea here because we have days when the clouds are just unbelievable. And in fact, you take the photo and you just hope nothing moves until you take it because the clouds are so astonishing. And of course, being by the sea means that you've just got these massive, wide sort of airscapes, if you like. I love that. I love the opening in the cloud, and you've got that sort of golden light coming through. It's always quite hard to get your exposure right for clouds because you're dealing with dark and very bright at the same time, but I think you've caught that absolutely perfectly. Now, as if the perpendicular wasn't enough, Katie has given us Donald here, who doesn't look like he's having a quacking good time, that's for sure. But I like the fact that you've got the ripples, and I also like the fact that you've got the duck who is sat on the very edge of the shadows, and it's quite hard to figure out where the shadows begin and end and where the foliage is. Because on the right hand side, at the top right there, you can see that there are some bushes, unless it's all shadow. I don't know. It's shrouded in mystery, which I think is absolutely fabulous. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. Miss Brennan is trying to contact me. She sends her apologies, by the way, because her internet has been down all week. So yeah, she can't make it today. Her internet is playing up. She's been in and out of the ether. Okay, Emily, tell me, Emily, this is you, and I haven't messed up again. But I think it's a cracking shot of this. Is that a daisy? Is that a daisy? I'm not sure that it is, but it's lovely. I like you've also managed to get the centre of it really, really sharp, so you get the sense of those patterns of the pattern of the centre of the image and the off-centre sort of hole. It's not a hole, but the sort of indentation in the middle. Great, love it. What a good shot. Shajiv is back to his flowers again. My favourite part of this photo, I was absolutely entranced by that little bud at the sort of bottom there that hasn't quite opened, because it's just such a beautiful colour and really delicate. Again, lovely bouquet. I love the way that you've arranged the out of focus not to be distracting, and I think you've composed this really carefully. It's a great shot. Shajiv again with some beautiful colours, and again your eye being led from bottom left, you get bounced off. Sorry, let's try again. From being led off from bottom right, it gets bounced off the middle of the image, and then you end up with being taken away to the top right. What a great shot that is! Absolutely lovely. And we go again. It's in a similar vein, but this time more of a focus on one set of petals or flowers, whatever they are. But I love that. So vibrant. What a beautiful shot. And it all works very well. I like this one because you've captured the same sort of flowers, but in, I suppose, in just different ways. And I love the fact that you're head on and you're side on, and that really adds a certain texture to this whole composition. Yeah, really, really good. There's more, and we've got the what are these? I really wish I knew what any of these were, but it definitely grows. I love it. I just love the pinks there. I think it works really, really well. A nice composition. And again, I like the green vibrance of the leaves. I love the petals. I just think it's a lovely shot. And Gabriel, now this is as if the perpendicular wasn't bad enough last time. Gabriel has come back with "I've been expecting you." That is almost is that worse than Katie's? I don't know. It's a competition of the worst puns of all time. I was half expecting you to have "I've been expecting you, Mr." and you were going to say "beamed" or something for Bond, but you didn't do that. So there we go. Great shot, Gabe. Love it. You've done really well because you've caught the bee really sharply, and the thistle. It's really clear what it is, and a great bouquet. Great out of focus on the other side. Yeah, it was don't encourage him. You two, it's bad enough with one of you doing it. Rachel, I love this. So Rachel's taken a photograph of her Polaroid. Now, I was a bit dismissive of Polaroid because one of my daughters wanted a Polaroid for Christmas a couple of years ago. And I've realised there's an art in itself to taking Polaroid photos, and I think that's come out absolutely beautifully well. And of course, you get this. There's a kind of, well, it's just the way they take the photos, but there's a built-in filter with Polaroid. This is what you get, the sort of Instamatic cameras. But I think that's a beautifully composed picture. Well done, love it. And this panorama, which wasn't taken on a Polaroid because Polaroid takes square photos. Again, I think this is great. Having that little walkway or gangplank or whatever it is, which juts out there. I suppose it's a jetty, isn't it? Composition is just absolutely perfect. Hazy day. Sun was trying to make this quite hard, but I think that's a lovely, lovely composition from Rachel L. Then we have the Wonky Church, one of my favourite titles for a photo, Erin. Well done. The Wonky Church. It doesn't seem that wonky from here, but I'm sure that from certain angles it does. But I think that is lovely, and the fact you've caught it in the car, I just think that works really well. It's and somehow the bodywork of the car that you can see there adds something to the framing. So I think it's a great shot. I love this one. I prefer this one being a wonky cow. So the cow is called Mabel, and the cow just, I don't know. It's a great portrait, which is exactly what it is. It's not a photo of a cow, it's a portrait of Mabel. So I think that's a really good shot. I absolutely love that, Erin. What a wonderful cow that is. I'm a sucker for these. I love all the lines coming off the telegraph post, each going to their own house, carrying the telephone signals. I think that works really, really well, and you've captured that exceptionally well. Very, very good indeed. Daisy decided to go for A Path as the title here. However, I think it's really beautiful. Your eyes are led by the uneven paving, by all those lines that draw you back towards the whatever it is at the end, sundial, vase, whatever it is, that ornament at the end. Again, great colours. And you put the horizon in just the perfect place, Daisy. What a cracking shot. The cow do be vibing though. Okay, cool. 3 lonely trees. They are a bit on their own. They look quite vulnerable, but I think those 3 separate areas of dappled sunlight work exceptionally well, Daisy. I love it. What a great shot that is. Nicely composed. Yeah, I think it works really well. I think it works really, really well. Okay, what else have we got? We've got leaves like rain. I agree. Dappled sunlight. You've hidden the sun behind the trees. And I like the fact you've got that bright, vibrant green working your way towards the back, but then you've got the dappled sunlight playing, creating shapes in front of our very eyes. That's lovely. Really nice. And from Ria, the crescent moon. What a lovely shot that is. I just think it's a great product shot. And I think that there's a sense of mystery about it as well. The fact that I think you've used light really well here. I like the fact that it's slightly underexposed. I think it works really well in this image. So that's crescent moon from rear. And the fact that you've taken the time to arrange the chain going away in a kind of V shape, I think that's really interesting. A really interesting composition. So we're there. We've done. Your photos were amazing again. You didn't do so many last week because it was the quiz. It wasn't the quiz. It was the competition. And you did. And you say you produced slightly fewer, but there were absolutely loads this time round. Quiz time. So here we are again. We are into quiz time. Now, I don't know how many of these I'll get through. If we're too slow, I will move on. But I thought that might be a nice chance to show off your knowledge and to see how many of these you can remember. So let's get the answers in really, really quickly. So I'll go on to the next slide. Some of these are recaps. Yeah, we've done this one before. From which language does the word bouquet originate? From which language does the word bouquet originate? I'll try and keep track of who's got what with these, but it's not the easiest thing in the world to do. I'll get a piece of paper and make some notes. So question 1. Oh, it's Gabe who's in there straight away. Let's go to my place and tell you. Where are you? It is Gabe. So question 1 is Japanese, and the answer indeed is correct. And that was Gabe who had said that it was, it's Japanese word. So let's go on to the next one. Congratulations. So that is 1 for Gabe. Let's go on to the next one, which is, what does bouquet mean? This was a repeat question, this one. What does bouquet mean? What does it mean? Let's see what we get from that. Ooh, quality of blur. Holy moly. He's in again. Second one for Gabe, it's quality of blur. So let's get straight on. The aesthetic quality of the blur of an image is what we're looking for bouquet. Who shot this image? Come on. Come on, Adam. I'm relying on you now. Although if he's not here, that might be. No, he is here. Hi, Adam. So come on. Who's the one who I always go on about? Who is it? Come on. Surely we know this one. Surely we know this. It is... God, I think Gabe's got a titanium internet connection, because that was absolutely right again. It was. You all got it right though. Ansel Adams, I'll give you all 1,000 points for that. So that's exceptional. So let's go on to the next one. It was Ansel Adams. You're recognizing his fabulous images of the various rivers and parks. We describe light as having X, and X. Fill in the X's. We describe light as having X, and X. Can you think of the 3 things that we describe light as having? I've done a version of this every week for 10 weeks. So if that's one thing you should have picked up, it will be this. We describe light as having X, and X. That was 3 for Gabe. Ooh, quality, colour and direction. Yay! Well done, Katie, that was you. It is quality, colour and direction. Let's go to that one. Quality, colour and direction, those are the 3 things. That's exactly how we would describe light. Let's move on. Which term is used to describe turning the camera to follow a subject? Turning the camera to follow a subject. So who was that? We had Katie first in, then we had Gabe, then we had Adam. So which term was used to describe turning the camera to follow a subject? It is panning, and it is Katie who's straight in there with panning. Oh no, sorry, it's Gabe who beat Katie by a millisecond to get that one. It is indeed panning. Well done. So let's go back to that one. It's panning. Next one. Which 3 mechanisms dictate the exposure of an image? Which 3 mechanisms dictate the exposure of an image? Yeah, and indeed, Adam, and panorama is indeed, or not panorama, who assuming is a woman named Pam who's shooting an image. That's worse than Donald Duck. Ooh, aid? Oh, sorry, Gabe, I've renamed you. ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. It was Gabe slightly ahead of Katie with the right answer there, which is indeed the case. So that is very, very good. Shutter speed, aperture, and ISO. you have learnt so much over 10 weeks. That was, yeah, Panorama, a special photo taken by Pam. I was going to say to you, Adam, the panorama, of course, has got the word pan in it. So that's exactly what it's talking about. When you take panoramas, you are taking a wide vista, turning from left to right or right to left. Panning. Right, here we go. What is the name of the increments in which you increase or decrease shutter speed? Reduce the shutter speed by 2 what? By 2 blanks. Oh, it's not knots. That's to do with sailing, surely. That's like miles an hour on water, is it not? You're so close, though. Knots. Reduce the shutter speed by... It's not knots. It sounds like knots. It's kind of the opposite of starting. You don't start something, you... Surely someone can get it now. It is stops, and it was Gabe again. Good Lord, you are so fast. It is just madness. So let's give you a... let's go on to the next one. Let's do that. Stop, stop, stop. So reducing it by 2 stops. That's what it's called in technical terms. What's this called? What's this called? We did this one. Remember, it was sort of one of the... It was really where cameras came from. This was at the advent of the history of photography. If ever you look at any photography books, this will be on page 1 or page 2, talking about where it all came from. It was this fisheye. Oh, it's not right, Adam. I'm going to break it to you gently. It's wrong. I just prefer pressing this button. Ooh, Aditya has got straight in there. And there's extra marks. I'll press it twice just because you beat Gabe, which cheers us all up no end. So that's absolutely perfect. It is the camera obscura. I didn't put it on there, but can anyone, while I'm going to the next question, tell me what does camera obscura mean? It sounds like something out of Harry Potter, doesn't it? Camera obscura. Oh, who's this? Not that I'm obsessed. I realise how many questions. Yeah, it is a flipped image, but that's not actually what it means. Camera abracadabra. That is better. Although actually I've forgotten myself what it means. I genuinely have. I'll have to Google it. Someone Google it because I've actually forgotten. It is Ansel Adams, and you get more points. Have that. That was outstanding. It is indeed. Let's go on to the next one. It is Ansel Adams. Who shot this image? Just it was the guy what made models look like they were not standing there looking miserable and hungry, which is what models I find look like most of the time. But anyone remember? It wasn't Bresson. It was after his time. This guy didn't die that long ago. I know most of the people that I've been talking about are dead. The same guy did Marilyn Monroe. Yes, it is. It was the same guy that did Marilyn Monroe. It wasn't the woman who shot Marilyn Monroe, who was... wasn't her. Something Myers? No, it was Richard Avedon. There we go. He was the... Kyle Myers? Who's Kyle Myers? I know Mike Myers was the guy who was in Wayne's World. I don't know who Kyle Myers is. Now this is a challenging one. You should know this. I reckon you'll get 3. The challenge is, can you think of the 4th? I mean, there are quite a few, to be fair. It was a random guess, but I liked it. Can anyone think of the 4 different types of lenses? We've got, Gabe has got fisheye, which is 1, prime, which is 2. So Gabe's got 2 there. Okay, so he's got fisheye and he's got prime. Do you remember fisheye is that one that does that circle? Was it Daisy or was it Emily who did that shot through their door? And it kind of gave... Yes, tilt shift is another one. So we've got... let's have a look, actually. So let's just see what we've got right. Gabe has said fisheye is a yes. Prime is yes. Tilt shift is yes, and Katie's come in with macro, which is all of those. So that's absolutely brilliant. Just handy to know these things, isn't it? So that you can picture what they are. So zoom, prime, fisheye, and tilt shift are the 4 that we looked at. We looked at macro as well. So there could have been 5. Zoom are the ones where you can change the focal length by twisting the barrel. Prime's got a fixed focal length. Fisheye gives you that 360 degree kind of weird sort of quite freaky angle of view. And the tilt shift is the one that helps you keep vertical lines straight. And also, well, actually, we'll get to that later on. I've given away one of the answers here. Oh, I don't think you'll get this right. You were struggling with this last time. This is colour fringing. What's it known as? 2 words. The first one begins with K, as in it sounds like K. What is this colour fringing all about? Anyone remember? We've got through 12 questions quite quickly. Anyone know? Colour fringing? Colour fringing. Now, you are halfway there with colour aberration. The second word is correct, Gabe. Anyone know what chromatic? Well done. Chromatic aberration. That's excellent. You know when you're doing green screen, the proper name for green screen is chroma key. So this sort of chromatic, that's the right answer there. That's excellent. I think that was the last one. It was! Yay! So you absolutely whizzed through that. I'm aware of the time, but I don't want to keep you here until midnight doing this. So the next thing is for us to look at Masterpiece. Masterpiece. I have to say, this is my favourite jingle that I made of all of them. I think if my family was reliant on the quality of my jingles for being fed each night, I think they'd mainly have gone hungry. But I think Masterpiece is my proudest moment. I really should get out more. So let's have a look at, we're looking at Sebastião Salgado today. I'm going to not spend an awfully long time going through him. Born 1944, so wartime. He's a big hitter, big name in modern photojournalism. He studied economics, but interestingly, didn't start a career in photography until he was nearly 30. Which is kind of interesting because back in those days, that was quite unusual. It's more expected these days that you might have 2, 3, or even 4 or 5 careers, that you'll just go and do something completely different. A bit like I went and started teaching at the age of 30. You know, it's something that as time goes on, people, their jobs for life tend to be rarer these days. Unless you become a doctor or something, in which case people are more likely to stick at it. Produced large-scale black and white images, focuses on social injustice and poverty, a large number of major long-term international projects. So that was the sort of stuff that he did. This gives you a better idea of the sort of images that he takes. This one, obviously, there's an ecological side of this, and this was something like, look at our beautiful kitchen area, or something like that. That was the caption he had for this, but it's an absolutely beautiful image, isn't it? And again, they just seem so much like humans, don't they? The way they're sort of cuddling there. And I think they mate for life. I could be wrong, but that's a fact I have banging around in my head somewhere. And I just think that's such a clever composition. And the more you look at it, and I'm not doing it justice by showing you this on... Oh, actually, I could have just done it here, couldn't I? There we go. That gives you a better picture. I'm not really doing it justice by showing it to you on the small screen, but I don't know whether you can see all those dots on the hillside opposite, but I believe that is more of the gulls that you can see there. I think this is a really clever shot, and of course doing a very long shutter speed. And I believe this was taken in, I think this is India. And what's interesting is the way that by slowing down the shutter speed, he's kind of turned it into a bit like a shot of shoals of fish, just sort of in the ocean. There's this fluidity, easy for me to say, that he brings to the image. I think it's absolutely staggering. And also, it's as though this is something that you would expect Michael Attenborough to be describing on a film, rather than what we do. And it's quite interesting to look at images like that. This one obviously covering famine in this case in Africa, and I think what's really interesting is that rather than it being obviously an image that is about poverty and is about hunger and starvation, he's also made it just part of normal life. And I just love the way that it's a sort of documentary style that he's using there. I think it's a great shot. This is in Kuwait, an oil well in Kuwait, and he captures the moment that the worker gets knocked off his feet because of it. And again, this is a commentary on the damage that getting oil out of the ground does to our planet. It's a commentary on the damage that it does to human beings, and that we, well, hopefully, by the time that you're my age, we'll have stopped being quite so reliant on it. But you can see these are the areas that he explores, and just astonishing pictures. I think this is the last one. And again, look at what he's managed to achieve here. It does look dramatic. What, the oil one, Aditya? Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does look dramatic. This penguin one is just extraordinary. I'll be honest with you, I'm still slightly struggling with the top half of the image to figure out what this is, and I don't quite know how he's done this, because the penguins presumably are on a flat surface, or else they'd have fallen over. And then I can't quite figure out what the what's on. Is that a rock formation? Is that maybe it's kind of like volcanic, yeah, that could be lava or something. That's extraordinary, isn't it? It's an image that just really leaves you thinking, and there's a sense of scale there. I talked about scale being one of the things that he really enjoyed playing with, so I think this guy is definitely worth checking out. He's often in, when you look at these ridiculous top fives of best photographers ever, this guy is very often there or thereabouts. Oh, here's the last one. Yeah, the penguins do look the same even in monochrome. You're absolutely right. And this one, the sort of classic one of the of sieving some kind of beans that are being picked, I assume. But again, he's really talk about capture the moment with the dog, who is a bit alarmed by what's going on and is legging it. So I think it's another great shot, isn't it? Okay, we are moving into phase 2 of. Okay, so let's get on with the next bit of quizzing. Got to say, you even though Gabe got most of them right, your knowledge is staggeringly good. What sort of a lens took this image? What sort of a lens took this image? It's one of the ones that you described very recently. And on your fancy phones, you will have, or if you pay for these filters, you'll have a filter that does something a little bit like this. Miniature is the effect, Aditya. Macro, well, do you know what? It's a clever answer, actually, because yes, you could have done that with a macro lens, but actually, it's that lens that moves, that where you're able to move the plane of focus around. Do you remember we were looking at the real estate photographer last time, who was taking these photos where he kept the straight line straight? It's one of those ones. Not prime. We're getting all the answers, but not quite the right one. The lens is able to do two unusual things. The actual glass of the lens can move whilst keeping the image sensor in the same place. A tilt shift lens is the right answer. If only I could find the right button to press. That is correct. A tilt-shift lens, Gabe, is the right answer there. Okay, so tilt-shift lens. And a tilt-shift lens gives you that miniature effect. And it's because you're able to control which part of the image is blurry and which part of the image is sharp. You can control that on a regular lens, but you're able to exercise more control over what's blurry and what's sharp. All right. To be shot that with a regular lens, it would gradually go into blur, whereas this is quite sudden, the way that you can do it with that. Okay, which f-stop value gives a greater depth of field? It's a 50-50. Which f-stop value gives a greater depth of field? I always think they've made this unnecessarily hard, because f2.8, you'd expect f2.8 to be you see, it is the wrong way around, and it confuses everyone. So a greater depth of field, and let's work it through. You're all saying f2.8. Oh, I get to press the wrong button. It's my favourite button. Where is it? Oh, I just want to keep pressing this. Adam finally got it right, but I'm still going to give that a few more presses just because I can. Indeed, that is the problem with this F number stuff, is that f2.8 is actually the widest open aperture, and it's got the smallest number, whereas f16 is the smallest hole at the back of your lens. You're making that hole that the light travels through really tiny, but because the beam is more concentrated, that's not exactly why, but because the beam is more concentrated, it gives you a greater depth of field. So f16 actually gives you a greater depth of field. f16 lets in less light though, so you'll need to have a longer shutter speed or increase the ISO in order to do that. Aha! Talking of which, what happens when you dial up the ISO? Now, no marks are saying the picture gets brighter, because it does. The exposure, it will be lighter. There'll be more light going into your picture. But when you dial the ISO up, what is happening in camera? What is happening inside the camera? Yeah, it does get grainier. Density, no. Yes, the picture gets grainier, but I don't want to know what happens to the picture. I want to know what is happening inside the camera when you turn the ISO up. What is actually happening inside your phone or inside your camera? Boom, boom, boom. Because we know about shutter speed. We've got that, the curtain being opened and closed, and it's being opened and closed for a longer or shorter time. We know that with aperture, we've got this idea of a little hole at the back of the lens. That is better light response. That's a fantastic answer. It's not correct, but it's a decent answer. Any more on that? I'll give you a clue. It has something to do with the sensor. It gets wider. Let. An interesting answer. Let. No. Now tell me, did my funny voice actually work that time? I spent ages getting this thing set up last week, and it didn't do anything at all. And I was very disappointed, because I listened back to it, and when I pressed my button to make my voice funny, it didn't work at all. Well, you didn't get the answer right. I don't know. So, the sensor is given more power. What literally happens is that more current is put through the sensor. Okay? It was music. You couldn't hear it. Oh, that's so disappointing. Oh well. There's always next year for me to try to get my voice working. Let me try one of these silly voices one more time and see if I can do it. Let's try for the astronaut one this time. Anything there? Anything there at all? Disappointing. Honestly. Right, let's go back. Yeah, turns more current into the sensor. Couldn't hear it. Okay, 2 rules of composition. You guys should know this one very, very easily. 2 rules of composition. Nope, okay, I'll have to give it a try. Back to the drawing board. That was time not well spent. 2 rules of composition. Any ideas on that one? Nope, nothing at all. Oh well, never mind. There's always the summer to trial these things. Two rules of composition. Do we have any answers on that? Lines look funky. Golden section is correct. And Sharjeev gets the rule of third. Well done. Well done, Sharjeev. A good effort. Indeed, rule of thirds and golden section are 2 of the compositional rules that we looked at. All right, let's go on to the next one. I don't think we've got many left now. That was it. Ba-bum. How may you produce diffused light when working with studio flash or inside? Answers on a postcard. How may you produce diffused light, when working with studio flash or inside? And what I'm saying is, if you're not using sunlight, is what I'm trying to say in a very clumsy way there. So if you're relying on reflectors, well, that's an interesting answer, Katie. You'd kind of use the reflectors actually to you'd use the reflectors to increase the light. If you ever watch outside broadcast, no, not mirrors, what we're talking about is to make the light, what would you use to make the light softer, to make it more diffused? So if you ever watched outside artificial lighting, yeah, but say you've got a light and it's producing a very harsh, what could you use to make the light? Yeah, okay, we're getting closer with Gabe now with this idea of a curtain of some kind. But can you remember what it's a something box that you'd put in front of a flashlight, or indeed in front of the LED lighting you can get these days, which is, it has now come down to a price that it's actually quite affordable. But it can produce quite a harsh light, so you can put a kind of thing called anyway, you didn't get it. It is a diffusing material or softbox. Actually, Gabe kind of got it with saying curtain. You could put a curtain in front of it. That would soften the light. But it's that idea of making the light a bit softer, and then the softer the light, the better your image is going to be. We've reached the end of our quiz. And that means that we've got one more thing to do before we get to the competition, and that is the last chance I'll get to play my technique jingle, unless I just press the button again, which I did. Apologies for that. So technique, really, I just want to do a couple of hints and tips for taking photos over the summer. You have been like little sponges soaking up all of this information that I've given you, so I thought I would throw a bit more at you. And you've actually reached an advanced enough point in your photographic career that I think you will get all of this. So let's talk first of all about holding your camera in relation to the object that you're shooting. If you hold your camera at the same level as the object that you're shooting, you'll get a regular picture. But if you take the picture from above or from below, it brings in an element of exertion, of movement, of stress. In the same way that we looked at, it was Shahjeev's picture of the pebbles, and many of you have taken pictures from jaunty angles, and I'm thinking Erin's picture of her brother in amongst the grass somewhere. That one worked really well, and others as well. Okay, so thinking about, we're often quite lazy when we take a photograph, because we stand at somewhere between 4.5 and 5.5 feet by the time that you're taking the photo up here by your head, and actually taking a bit of time to walk around your subject, to get high, to get low, to just shake it up and try and bring something new out of your subject. It's a really good idea. Okay, the second one I think is fairly obvious. So in normal circumstances, the main source of light, the light for your image, should be placed behind you. One of the rules of thumb they have is put it behind your right shoulder. There's my, well, in fact, as far as you can see, there's my right shoulder there. Okay, so behind your right shoulder. If you are trying to take a picture with the light source between you and your camera, that is a difficult thing to do. It's not saying that it's not worth exploring, but think about where your light source is, and ideally you want it behind here somewhere. The only difficulty is when you're shooting people, don't have them looking straight into the sun, because they end up all squinting like this, and you end up with not great shots. And also that can bring quite that can bring very harsh shadows. So if you're shooting people, sometimes getting them to turn at a slight angle away from the sun, or indeed using some diffusing material, or counting them in and saying, open your eyes and smile in 3, 2, 1, and then boom, you've got it. And I always find when you're shooting people, you get the best shots almost straight away in the first 4 or 5 shots. The more you keep going back to it and trying to get people to repose, the less of a sense of humour they have about it. All right, lastly on this page, I've got 2 pages of technique. Using a dark background for taking a picture of a light object, or a light background for doing so of a dark object. Okay, so it's good to have a bit of a contrast between the brightness of the object that you're shooting and the background. I've got a backdrop that I use for photography, and it is black on one side and white on the other. In fact, it's not quite white, because the other thing is that if you use a completely white background, it can cause that lens flare that we've seen, where you get those sort of lens flare, that sort of red flaring, which I mean, people buy filters to add lens flare, which seems odd to me because it's not something that you generally want in your image, but sometimes it can look right. But just bear that in mind, that absolutely white backgrounds can cause that lens flare to happen. All right. Oh, I thought I had a second page of that. Obviously not. All right. So now we get to the the exciting part, which is the quiz. Not the quiz, the competition. So I will run through the competition and tell you first of all what happened, and then I shall announce the winners. Now, this is all very, very exciting. So I should explain. I don't really know why I've got a purge siren going off there. So I shall go through how this was done. So I sent pretty much all of your photos that you submitted. I knew I said I'd get it down to a short list, but actually, for one reason or another, and because the voting system was not exactly perfect, I have to say, I simply sent all of your pictures to the. I'd said to Ms. Fearon, Mr. Ledbetter, and Mr. Chalmers, I would send them 10. Well, I sent them many more images than 10, and I said, sorry, I would like you to just look at all of them, because that's the one that I want, isn't it? Right, hang on, you're absolutely right. And if I had a sort of a handle on my soundboard here, to be honest with you, it would be great. I mean, the worst thing would be to have a man yawning. That's not what I want. No, I don't want snoring. I suppose a scary organ, does that work? That's building up things slightly, isn't it? We could throw in a sitar just for weirdness sake. Ooh, what about strings that are suspenseful? Ooh, now that's scary. Hang on. Ooh, there we go. I think that's slightly better. Or even... The fact is, Adam, I actually can't find the dun. Oh, I've got that somewhere here. Well done. I'm glad someone knows my soundboard better than me. Right, so, competition. Here's what happened. I sent the 3 members of SLT, sorry, the top 3, the head and the 2 deputy heads, I sent them loads of photos. And I said, will you please pick a winner and 2 runners up? Yeah, I got there in the end. It was quite traumatic. Anyway, and I said I want you to pick a winner and either 2 runners up or a winner, a second and a third place. And typical of Mr. Ledbetter, Mr. Chalmers and Ms. Fearon, they didn't listen to a word I said, and they said, with characteristic disregard for the rules, for my rules, I hasten to add, we've come up with 1 overall winner. So there is a winner. So they did that. 2 second place winners and 2 third place winners. So that's what we're going to be giving today: is 2 third places, followed by 2 second places. So 2 third equal, 2 second equal, and a first. Which for the mathematicians among you will know that's actually incorrect, but that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to be reading to you what they sent, because not only did they took this very seriously, and they sat down together for quite some time and went through every single image. And unfortunately, as you know, we cannot give prizes to everybody, but they were genuinely amazed by the quality of the photos. They have been so happy with A, that this club has run, B, with the way that you've taken to it, and I think C, with the quality of the images that you've produced, and the fact that your images have been getting better week in, week out. So they wanted me to thank you on their behalf for the images that you submitted, and they have said it was a genuinely difficult task to pick out winners. And I know it's really corny, but the idea that actually you're all winners for the fact that you've got so much better at doing this, but let's not be super corny. So I'm going to announce the first 2 third places, then the 2 second places, and then I'm going to announce the winner. Now, in terms of prizes, I have been given a fund kitty, so each of the winners will receive a book in the post from me. If you do not like it, you can return it and change it for something more appropriate, okay? Because I had to think about this. I don't particularly want to send you vouchers. I want to send you a book on photography. And if you don't like it, I'm really happy if you change it. It's not a problem, but that's what I would like to do, because I think that I just think it's nice to get something that you can read, and you've all shown a massive interest in this. Right, enough yakking from me. Let's get on with this. So here we go. We're now going to go through the third place. Oh. That's not the right thing. Hello, why have I ended up here? Surely not. What's happened here? This is very, very strange. Oh my word. Okay, guys. That's very strange. It's reset my PowerPoint, all my slides back to here, so we can very briefly just watch through me going blah, 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 getting that picture wrong. That was Aditya. That was Shajiv. Something about perfume bottles. Cloud. Ducks. Flowers. An infinite time loop will be here until midnight. So at this point I'll find that my winners aren't actually... It doesn't matter. I've got the winners written down, so if we have to do it that way, we will. Daisy, Ria, the quiz. You can all get them right this time. Gabe got it right. Gabe got it right. I think Gabe got that one right. I think Katie got one right. I think Adam... I have just created the 5th dimension. We are in the 5th dimension. What's this called? Camera Obscura. No one did Google to find out what it was. Ansel Adams. Who's this? Ansel Adams. Everyone is Ansel Adams, according to me. Chromatic Aberration, which we got there in the end. Masterpiece. Blah, blah, blah. Seagulls. People. Babies. Oil. Penguins. Food. Scared dogs. Tilt shift lenses, F2s and F16. Holy moly, I don't know how I reset this. I didn't know. Very cunning of me. Right, hello. I feel as though it's like deja vu, isn't it? Technique 1, competition. Okay, I think we've reached it. No, it hasn't come through. Okay, all right. Don't worry, I'm not going to put you through it again. What I am going to do, though, is announce the winners for you. So, joint third place, and this was Emily. And this was Emily's photo where there's no such thing as too much chocolate. And this is what the judging panel said about your image. This is a fabulous focus on the background, drawing the eye through a blurred foreground. This was Emily's image of the cake, do you remember? Fabulous focus on the background, drawing the eye through a blurred foreground. The balance of colour is beautiful, with muted earth tones, enabling the red and yellow on the cake to be highlighted. Particularly well lit from the left. We thought that the year team would like this one for their office, and indeed we will. What they're also saying is that both Miss Brendan and I are massively greedy and eat far too much cake, but we would like that one for our year office. So thank you, Emily. That was fabulous. So that is third place. Now we have the other third place image, and this one is Lizette with her cherry tree. And the judging panel has made... I sound like I'm doing the Eurovision Song Contest here. The judging panel has made the following comments about the image. Lots of techniques used here, with a beautiful contrast between a focused foreground and a blurred background in contrasting colours. This was Mr. Chalmers. Mr. Chalmers is an artist, so I think he quite enjoyed doing this. We particularly love the petals, which are backlit by natural light. Masveron would like this one for her office. So Lizette, you will be appearing in the head teacher's office. Okay. So that is the 2 third places. I feel like I should go on to, thank you for that, Adam. I should go on to the 2 joint second places now. And the first of the second place prizes goes to Rachel Lowles for her fairy light tunnel. Do you remember Rachel did a number of similarly themed images? They were brilliant. This is wonderfully composed with an excellent use of focus to draw the eye further into the shot. The busy left foreground contrasts beautifully with the stillness of the negative space on the left-hand side. Mr. Chalmers definitely wants this one framed for his office. They want it framed now, blimey. Obviously, it would help if I was actually showing you the picture at the same time, but you've all seen these pictures, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay, there's one more second place prize, and the other second place prize went to one of our most prolific photographers, and that is Shajiv. And you did. So Shajiv, and I love the way they put untitled, because you don't title many of your photos, Shajiv. And they said fantastic composition, and this was your shot of it wasn't a field, but it was a scene of you had a fence and you had I mean to describe the photo rather than showing it to you, but it was that scene that we're talking about. And they have said fantastic composition with the juxtaposition of colours, particularly well thought through in terms of contrasting and complementary colours, also very vibrant. The mixture of horizontals and verticals in the foreground enhanced the sense of perspective in the composition. Mr. Ledbetter wants this one for his office, which brings us to the winner of the photographic competition 2020 Hazelwick Yellow, and the winner is, it really annoys me when people do this, the winner is Erin for A Walk by the River. I thought this was an absolutely staggering image, Erin. I thought it was really, really good. For me, I actually agree with their verdict. I didn't vote in this on purpose because I didn't want to play a part in who won this. I wanted it to be judged by people who hadn't seen your images over the course of the last 12 weeks, longer. They said the judging panel made the following commentary. This was a well-balanced composition of verticals and horizontals, with the curve on the left drawing the eye into a distant focal point. The reflections enhance the balance of warm and cold colours. We all wanted this one in our office. So they were absolutely staggered, the judging panel, by the quality of your images. And in fact, they do this idea of having the images in their office. That's not something they're saying to make you feel better. If you've been into any of their offices for, in your case, probably good reasons, you will see that they do have a lot of student art, or they always have some student art in their pictures. In fact, Mr. Ledbetter has got a photograph, a great photograph of some buildings in London with some fabulous lines, fabulous vertical lines and converging lines in it. So guys, that is it. If you didn't get a prize, don't be disappointed, because they had an absolutely difficult job choosing between the various photos. They were all of such an astonishingly high quality. So I would just like to say, for those of you who did manage to get yourself a prize, that was absolutely fantastic. And for those of you who didn't get it, no, it's all right, we won't boo you really, but so many great images going in there. Something that I'll say again is I was quite surprised by the images that some of you put in there, because I felt that some of you didn't actually necessarily, well, it's a matter of personal choice, isn't it? But some of the images that I was surprised at how few you put in. But I think what we'll do next time is, because the voting system didn't quite work, and I think for the next competition we will simply get you to put in as many as you want, and then I will pick a short list to give to the judges. I think probably that's as good a way of doing it as any. Guys, we have come to the end of our time together. I didn't want a warning alarm. I wanted to go to my last slide, which is my, oh no, let's not go back there again. Let's just go back to here. So we've come to the end of our time together, and we've come to the end of the term as well. your images have been amazing. The fact that you're still here, it's 4 minutes past 4, so I've been going on for 1 hour and 5 minutes. They do sound like wine connoisseurs, don't they, Gabe? I thought they absolutely did. And do you know what's nice is that while it's frustrating when you don't get rewarded for the photos that you've taken, it's worth saying that they were genuinely staggered by what you had done, and I think their comments show that they really took this seriously, and they're hugely proud of all of the images that you took, and they ended up looking through quite a lot more images than the 10 that I suggested. So no, you're not the only person who can't see the photo, Adam. It's actually do you know what? I can show them to you. I'm going to have to do a little bit of jiggery pokery just to get this thing working, because for some reason, the last couple of pictures on my slide didn't quite come through. I have got no idea why, but I can quite possibly, let's have a look. I've got some shortlisted photos here, so just bear with me 2 minutes and I can show you the ones that we're talking about. I'm going to stick it over here and you will see it in a moment. So let me try going to the let me just make this a bit quicker. Bear with me 2 seconds and I'll get this up on your screens. There were loads in there. It wasn't that one, it was that one, it wasn't that one, it was that one, it wasn't that one, or 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 that one. There we go. So these are the ones. Now bear with me a second. I need to show you my left hand screen. Yay, okay. So all I've got is I've got my timer. Hang on a second. Let's get rid of you. Here we go. So I've got, let's go over here. This was Rachel's one, the Fairy Light Tunnel. I can probably go bigger on that. Is that going to work? No, that's not going to work. Let me just escape from that. Hang on a second. There we go. So we've got Rachel with the Fairy Light Tunnel there. I'll have to just increase it. I'm going to not fiddle with it because it'll all go wrong. And we've also got Sharjeev. That's the one I was trying really badly to describe. I think I said a field and a fence. So that was Sharjeev's one. Then that was, we'll come back to that one. This is Lizette's one, which was the one that, was it Ms. Fearon said she wanted in her room? That was that one, I think. Cherry Tree. Ms. Fearon wants it for her office. This is the one that will be going in the head of year office. Will get printed off. That's great. Light coming from the left, all of that. That was a great one from Emily. And then we had Sharjeev, where they said fantastic composition, juxtaposition of colours. Mr. Ledbetter wants it for his office. He loved this, and I think the fact you've got so many colours there, it's just such a beautiful shot. And then we had Rachel with the Fairy Light Tunnel. I loved this sequence that Rachel did. I thought they were absolutely brilliant photos. And then we had the winner. And this, there are so many things to like about this image. I think it's just really, really strong, and it's that sort of leading line, that curve that leads us, and it doesn't just lead us sort of down towards the very ends of the image, but it also then tapers off to the left hand side again. So there's movement throughout this image. And then you've got the ripples on the water, which the texture of the water changes sort of 2, 3, 4 times as you work your way through. The colours on the building, the glow of the brickwork there, the horizon, the sky, it all just works so well. And even that little bit of foliage you've got on the top left there, it just works really well. I thought that was a cracking image. Was that in Bath, Erin? I can't quite remember. So there we are. That is where we are, and those were the final images there. So I can go back to this, and that's it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this, the sort of 3 months we spent together. A few of you said that you want to carry this on next term. I have to think about how we can do that, but I'd be really happy for this to carry on in some form or another. Whether it's going to take the form of me doing weekly live streams, I don't know. I've got a suspicion that if we do, it'll be something that I would do at about 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. So have a think about that, because probably after I get home and get it set up, that'd be the logical way to do. Run through your photos, teach you a few more techniques, and go that way. So guys, have an amazing summer. It's been a complete pleasure. I've gone on for an hour and 10 minutes. So if you're still there, have a great summer. And Katie, I'm really glad you've enjoyed it. Katie, do you mind if I share with them about the D of E thing? Because it occurred to me that actually other people might not have realised that what you have done is possible. I've kind of given it away. Would you mind, Katie, if I mentioned that to them in case? Okay, cool. So thanks, Katie. So Katie's doing her D of E bronze, and in the skills section, you can use photography as can be one of your skills. And Katie had asked me weeks and weeks ago, is it okay? Am I happy to sign the thing off? Because they send me or actually Katie sent me an email with a link on it, which I then go there and I say, I'm head of year 9. I ran the course for 3 months. Katie learned how to do X, Y, and Z. She took part every week and she really enjoyed it, and she's taking better pictures now. And that signed off the skills section of her D of E bronze. So if you were thinking about D of E, or you are doing D of E and you're struggling with something to put in your skills section, I'm more than happy to do the same thing for you. So thanks, Katie, because that is useful. Aditya, you are more than welcome, my dear fellow. You've taken some great pictures, and it's been a real pleasure to talk to all of you. So listen, I'm glad it's been fun. It's been certainly fun for me. I've really enjoyed it. It's the first time that I've done anything like this, and I think it's worked quite well doing it online, hasn't it? Do you know what one of the things I was most proud about is that we had a plan for if the live stream fell over like it did on the first week, if you can remember. And I think it was 2 weeks ago, and the thing just fell over. I sent a new link out, and you were all back on, and we were all back doing it again within about 10 minutes. So that was really, really positive. All right. Good. Well, I'm really glad, because it has been, I've talked to a number of students who've been really struggling over the course of this lockdown, because we're putting out an assembly tomorrow that you can look at on YouTube, and it's been hard being an adult. The benefit we've got is that I've got 50 years of experience to know that this is a really strange, weird thing. For you guys, it's tough. And I've certainly found with my children, who are both a bit younger and a bit older than you guys, that they've gone from wanting to go out and see their friends all the time to becoming a bit like hermits, really, and sort of not being that keen on leaving the house because that's what you're so used to. And I think it'll take a while for us all to get our heads straight after this, but hopefully we're back in September and things will be... Well, you've seen the head teacher's letter that went out, so things will be a bit different, but things will be mainly normal, and I think we'll all be quite looking forward to that. Right, that is it, guys. Have an amazing summer. I will miss you hugely. Keep uploading photos, which is going to be the assignment part, was just keep taking photos and keep saying nice things about each other's photos. I will get on there. I will remember to get on there once a week and put some comments and give some yellow ribbons. And yes, bon vacances à tout le monde. And I'll see you all in September. Have fun, guys. Have a good one. I'll wave with this hand. Bye-bye. See you later.